Radio Telefiche Éireann. It's over to Anne Doyle in the RT newsroom now for tonight's main evening news.
Good evening and welcome. The headlines tonight. Dublin Airport is closed till tomorrow and flights are disrupted across Europe. No real let-up in the icy weather expected before St. Stephen's Day. President McAleese has signed into law the controversial banking bill. Snow blots out the Newgrange solstice, but lunar eclipse turns eyes skywards. There's further travel misery for thousands of passengers tonight after Dublin Airport suspended all flights until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning at the earliest. Earlier, Aer Lingus, Ryanair and Éireann cancelled all remaining evening flights from Dublin due to the freezing conditions. Following a new severe weather alert from Met Éireann, warning of heavy snow over Leinster and Munster, there have been renewed appeals for motorists to avoid unnecessary journeys.
The arrivals hall is usually a place of happy scenes, but this afternoon it was a place of frustration and dismay as passengers who'd had their flights suspended were channelled back into the terminal building after the closure of the runway. For many, this was the second day of disappointment.
We don't know what to do next. I'm trying for 2 days to go home, but it doesn't work.
Are you worried you won't get home for Christmas?
Yeah, now I am, yeah. It's really frustrating, so...
We were on a flight last night for sitting on the plane for an hour and eventually had to come off, so this was our second attempt today, so...
Came this morning and we had an exact repeat of the same thing. We've checked everything in on the plane, an hour on the plane, and now we're told it's cancelled again.
Upstairs in the departures hall, the queues and congestion became so bad that the airport and the airlines announced that anyone whose flight had been cancelled should leave the terminal building and rebook online at home. Not that easy for everyone.
We're trying to have information here and they're sending us everywhere around, so we don't know where to go to have the hotel and to have a place to stay or so.
The runway was closed at 12:30 and it was hoped to be operational at 5 p.m. That was pushed back to 8 p.m. and then following continued snowfalls until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. For the hundreds of passengers left at the airport, it's going to be a long night. Anne-Marie Smith, RTE News, Dublin Airport.
Thousands of flights were cancelled across Europe again today. The EU has called on airport authorities to make better provision for severe weather conditions, saying the flight chaos is unacceptable.
Frankfurt, Paris, Brussels, London. Different airports, but the same picture. At London Heathrow, where some passengers are stranded for the fourth day, the Salvation Army stepped in to help. The second runway has now reopened. But the airport authority and the government are coming under pressure to explain why Europe's busiest airport is having such difficulty coping with the conditions.
Extensive disruption is understandable. But if it's understandable that Heathrow had to close briefly, I'm frustrated on behalf of all those affected that it's taking so long for the situation to improve.
This morning, the European Commission described the travel chaos as unacceptable, singling out airports as the weak link in the infrastructure.
Airports simply must get serious about planning for this kind of severe weather conditions. We have seen in recent years that snow in Western Europe is not such an exceptional circumstance, and better preparedness in line with what is done in Northern Europe is not at this stage an optional extra.
The situation in Europe's airports was better today than yesterday, but with more snow forecast, more flight cancellations are expected. Outside St Pancras station in London, passengers have been queuing for half a mile in the hope of getting a seat on the Eurostar train. Everyone desperate now to get where they're going by Christmas. Kathleen McMahon, RTE News.
Anne-Marie Smith joins me now from Dublin Airport. Anne-Marie, we saw shots of people there who are stranded at the airport. What is the situation for people who are going to be there now, obviously through the night?
Well, the congestion from earlier has largely cleared. There was a huge response to the appeal by Dublin Airport for extra taxis, and a lot of people have managed to get home or get to hotels away from the airport. But there are about 300 to 400 people who are left here overnight, and most of them are starting to bed down for the evening. Now, they're facing a not very comfortable night. However, Dublin Airport has said that Terminal 2 is open and it's largely empty, and it's not going to be any more comfortable, but there may be a few more chairs, and it may be quieter for some passengers if they want to sleep there overnight.
And what are the prospects, Anne-Marie, of the airport opening in the morning? It's closed, we know for sure, until 8 o'clock.
Yes, well, I mean, the teams, the snow and ice teams are working constantly, even though it is still snowing, and we've had very few lulls between the snow showers. They're trying to clear it so that actually it doesn't build up so much that it becomes an insurmountable problem in the morning. They decided to push it right back until 8 a.m. because they were getting forecasts from Éireann that were going to say that there were snow showers still up until 3 o'clock in the morning, and they felt that to allow people to actually have some certainty that they would be better to say 8 o'clock, because that was really more likely a time that they'd be able to reopen it. However, that's still subject to weather conditions. They will have an update on their website at 5 o'clock, and people are being advised to check that. On the good news front, if there is a glimmer of hope, if the runway does open tomorrow morning, Aer Lingus have hired in extra planes, larger planes, to give them more capacity on the routes that they have booked. They've also got extra slots for some of the aircraft that they're hiring, such as Éireann are going to fly some of their routes, extra routes over to the UK, to try and get as many people as possible home for Christmas, and that all depends, of course, on the runway being open tomorrow.
Anne-Marie, thank you very much for joining us. Dublin bus services will end at 10 o'clock tonight. However, Luas and rail services are operating as normal. Driving conditions remain poor in many areas, but there was nothing on the scale of last night's gridlock in some parts of the city.
There were traffic black spots this evening, mainly caused by trucks getting stuck or jackknifed, such as here on the M50 at Blanchardstown and earlier on the motorway near Dundrum. But in general, traffic volumes were a lot less than yesterday, and routes such as the N11 were almost deserted. In the city centre, weather conditions had deteriorated rapidly as shoppers and commuters pondered their journeys home earlier this afternoon.
I think it seems like every bus they're all backed up somewhere. So even though it's just we're just ignoring the timetable right now.
Bus comes, I'll be getting it. So if not, I'll be looking for some other way of getting home. Walking maybe. We'll see what happens.
I'm trying to get home to Lucan. It's very difficult because buses are not coming here. I don't know if it will arrive here. And tomorrow I want to fly home to the Czech Republic. I don't know if the airport will be open.
But motorists said the situation was better than yesterday.
As long as most of the traffic gets off the road, it's actually quite easy to get around. But if it's anything like last night, 4 hours from Talent to Balls Bridge.
We brought our flasks to clear our windscreen, and we brought a sweeping brush to take the snow off the roof.
Dublin Bus decided to halt services from 10 p.m. because of the road conditions, while Bus Éireann decided to end at 9 p.m. But Luas, Dart and commuter rail remained operational. Now the Dublin region is bracing itself for more snow tomorrow. John Carrain, RTÉ News, Dublin.
The ESB says all power has now been restored to around 1,000 customers in Arklow who lost electricity supply just before 5 o'clock this evening. Many parts of the southeast experienced heavy snowfalls throughout the day.
From the sunny to the snowy southeast in a matter of minutes, when this morning many towns and villages across the region came to a grinding halt. Some main roads, particularly in Wicklow, Wexford and Carlow, were treacherous for a time. Those minding livestock found it hard going.
I just never thought it was bad. It's tough enough now, to be straight with you. Very tough. You know what I mean? Coming to Christmas now especially is bad, isn't it?
Others, such as Lorcan Dunn, got out quickly to clear snow, saying he'd learned from a recent trip to Prague.
When it's snow, you put out the snowplough. You don't wait until it lie on the road and freeze. When it's actually coming down, the snowplows are out and are moving the snow.
Businesses were closed in many villages across Wexford and Wicklow as people tried their best to look on the bright side.
But sure, if we have a bit of fun and a bit to eat, what more do we want? Well, I don't know about Santi. Will Santi get to us?
He'll have to.
He'll have to, that's true.
And pets tried to make the best of it. Damien Tiernan, RT News, Clonroach, County Wexford.
It was like manna from heaven when the fuel truck finally arrived from Derry. Gallagher's filling station in Derry Beg had been forced to ration petrol and diesel to €20 a customer because supplies hadn't been able to reach this part of West Donegal.
Friday the delivery was supposed to come in, but then it was put off then until Saturday, and we started rationing then from Saturday evening on. And on Monday they re-looked at it, but the lorry still couldn't get out.
The northwest has been blanketed in snow for 5 days now.
Everywhere you look around here these days, there's another beautiful Christmas card-like scene. But the reality of going about your daily business in it is becoming a bit tiresome for many people.
We're going into the hospital. Patsy has a fractured wrist.
Oh no.
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't be out.
Are you getting sick of the whole thing?
Sick of it. Can't wait for the green Christmas.
Having an awful lot of difficulty getting to work and stuff. But you're right. What can you do? It's Merry Christmas, everybody. Get on with it.
Eileen Magner, RTE News, Manorhamilton, County Leitrim.
It's the part of Ireland where only the deer can roam the roads safely at the moment. This is the Slieve Bloom Mountains on the Laois Offaly border. Picture postcard material maybe, but since the 29th of November, the main road up here has been closed, making life almost impossible for the locals.
We have extreme difficulty coming up the last two hills from Kinnetty, and we were travelling up the other evening, and of course we failed because we have a front wheel drive. So thanks to the ingenuity of my husband, he decided he'd take the mats out of the car. We put them on the road, and eventually we got up to the gate.
There were no snow showers in this area today, but the temperatures are still plummeting, with severe implications for farm animals and their owners.
This morning we went down to about -13 here, which was very, very severe. I suppose the big issue today here for me is water. I mean, I was going fine until today, and all the pipes froze here, everywhere under the ground. So I have no water at all now this evening.
Ciara Malooly, RTE News, in the Slieve Bloom Mountains in County Offaly.
Hi there and a very good evening. Well, our severe weather alert remains in effect up to and including Christmas Day now, I'm afraid, with really bitterly cold conditions, freezing fog and further frosty, icy conditions and snow showers in particular affecting Leinster, but all other areas should manage to escape largely dry till then at least. As you can see in the snow sequence, most of those showers affecting East Leinster in particular, but elsewhere escaping mostly dry throughout, but staying bitterly cold, I'm afraid. As of tonight, those heavy snow showers will bring it once again another 5 to 10 centimetres, in particular affecting much of Leinster, East Munster, including Tipperary, East Cork and Waterford, as well as parts of the north coast as well. Now we can see those showers in the southwest have eventually cleared southwards there this evening, but these snow showers are wrapping in there from the Irish Sea, affecting much of Leinster overnight tonight and encroaching into parts of Munster there as well, with freezing fog and frosty, icy conditions widespread across the country as temperatures plummet right back down to as low as -15 degrees there across parts of the North Midlands in particular. And really, those winds will be just light northeasterly over land, so freezing fog will be an issue once again during tomorrow, I'm afraid. But dry and sunny for the main part, but once again, East Leinster will be at risk of further snow activity throughout the day. But once those showers should be largely diminished in comparison to today's showers. Again, it's going to be another bitterly cold day as temperatures rise no more than freezing almost across the board. And with those northeasterly breezes continuing, we're going to see further wintry showers there on Thursday, in particular down along the east and north coast, and a mix of rain, sleet and snow at that stage as temperatures rise a little bit there down along the east and north coast, but still bitterly cold elsewhere despite some good sunshine. And for Christmas Eve, it does look set to be largely dry, but freezing fog may persist across parts once again, and some wintry flurries are expected across North Ulster. Christmas Day is set to be mainly dry and becoming a little less cold, thankfully, but still bitterly cold there up across the north, but mainly dry but treacherous across many roads once again. And at this stage, St. Stephen's Day is going to be milder, but wet and windy weather is going to spread across the country, initially falling as sleet and snow. That's it from me. A very good evening.
Avonmore, the cream that makes Christmas.